The streaming wars have officially ended. In a stunning $82 billion move announced just hours ago, Netflix has acquired Warner Brothers to gain ownership of Batman, Harry Potter, and Game of Thrones. This massive media shakeup happened this morning, December 5th, 2025, when Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery announced a definitive agreement that reshapes Hollywood forever. For a total enterprise value of $82.7 billion, Netflix isn't just buying a studio. They are acquiring a century of cinema history. The deal values Warner Brothers Discovery stock at $27.75 per share, which is a massive premium considering where the stock traded earlier this year. Most headlines miss the fact that Netflix is not buying everything. They are specifically acquiring the crown jewels, which include the Warner Brothers film and TV studios, the HBO network, and the HBO Max streaming service. The cable networks get left behind. In a strategic maneuver, the companies confirmed that the previously announced separation of Discovery Global will still happen in the third quarter of 2026. This means channels like CNN, TNT Sports, and the Discovery Channel are being spun off into their own separate company because Netflix wanted the premium scripted content rather than the declining cable assets. Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters, the co-CEOs of Netflix, appeared alongside Warner's David Zaslav to break the news. Sarandos called it a chance to define the next century of storytelling, while Wall Street reacts to the sheer scale of this monopoly. A single platform now houses Stranger Things and House of the Dragon under the same subscription. The regulatory hurdles will be massive, since the deal is expected to close in 12 to 18 months. But if this goes through, the entertainment industry we know is gone. We need to examine the volume of content moving to Netflix. For years, subscribers paid for HBO Max specifically for prestige dramas, but that app is likely doomed. Imagine opening Netflix and seeing The Sopranos right next to Narcos, or Succession listed alongside The Crown. This involves active, massive franchises rather than just old movies. Netflix now owns the rights to the entire Game of Thrones universe, meaning the upcoming seasons of House of the Dragon will essentially be Netflix originals. The platform that built its reputation on binge-watching now controls the water cooler shows that define weekly viewing. We are looking at a library that combines the grit of HBO with the wide reach of Netflix. Sources inside the deal confirm that Netflix plans to integrate the HBO hub directly into their interface, similar to how Disney Plus handles Marvel and Star Wars. This solves the Netflix problem of quality control. While they have quantity, they have often struggled to match HBO's consistent prestige. But now, they simply own the competition. $82 billion eclipses the $71 billion Disney paid for 21st Century Fox back in 2019. The valuation of $27.75 per share for Warner Brothers Discovery represents a lifeline for shareholders who have watched the stock struggle since the merger with Discovery years ago. Financial analysts are pointing to the specific structure of this deal, which uses a mix of cash and stock, subject to a collar mechanism. This safety net means that if the Netflix stock price swings wildly between now and closing, the exchange ratio adjusts to protect value on both sides. Netflix paid this price because scarcity value is real. There are no other studios left with a library like Warner Brothers. Paramount has its assets and NBC Universal is tied to Comcast, but Warner was the last standalone giant with this kind of IP. Netflix is paying a premium to ensure that Apple or Amazon didn't get there first, making this a defensive move as much as an offensive one. Comic book fans have been waiting for this news. The DC Universe has had a turbulent decade, but things could get very interesting under Netflix, since they now own Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the entire Justice League. Consider the success Netflix had with The Sandman, which was a DC property licensed to them, but now they don't need to license anything. James Gunn's vision for the DCU will likely continue with the backing of the massive global marketing machine at Netflix. We could see a strategy shift where theatrical releases for major blockbusters like The Batman Part 2 are followed by exclusive high-budget series on Netflix that tie directly into the movies. There is also the animation angle, since Warner Brothers animation is legendary, and Netflix has been investing heavily in adult animation like Blue Eye Samurai. Pairing that team with the studio behind Batman the Animated Series creates a powerhouse that no other streamer can match. DC content will no longer be scattered across different platforms, because the bat signal now points to Netflix. Harry Potter is coming to Netflix along with the 8 movies. We know that HBO was developing a decade-long Harry Potter television series intended to reboot the books with a new cast, and that project is now a flagship Netflix series. This aligns perfectly with the Netflix strategy of building massive, recurring worlds. They have been trying to find their own Harry Potter for years by experimenting with shows like The School for Good and Evil. But now they have the real thing. It goes beyond the show, since the press release mentions consumer products and themed entertainment. While the theme park rights are complicated due to existing deals with Universal Studios, Netflix now controls the merchandise and potential digital experiences. We could see a massive push into interactive storytelling within the wizarding world, which Netflix has experimented with in Black Mirror, Bandersnatch. The boy who lived has found a new home in the same place you watch Wednesday. The smartest part of this deal is what Netflix refused to buy. By supporting the spinoff of Discovery Global, Netflix avoided the anchor that has been dragging down Warner Brothers Discovery's stock price, which is linear cable networks. They didn't want CNN, the headaches of a 24-hour news cycle, or the declining ad revenues of basic cable. They also passed on the majority of the unscripted reality content from the Discovery side, meaning channels like HGTV and Food Network are going into the new separate company. This clarifies the identity of Netflix as a premium entertainment service, rather than a cable bundle replica. The new Discovery Global company is expected to launch in late 2026 to take the sports rights and the reality TV empire. It creates a clear divide where you go to the new Discovery entity for 90 Day Fiancé and basketball, but you go to Netflix for cinematic storytelling and prestige TV. It is a ruthless trimming of fat that makes the $82 billion price tag make much more sense. One sentence in the announcement surprised industry insiders, because Netflix expects to maintain the current operations of Warner Brothers, including theatrical releases for films. This is a massive pivot, since Netflix has historically been the enemy of movie theaters by insisting on day-and-date streaming releases. By acquiring Warner Brothers, they are acquiring a studio that is built on the box office and cannot simply shut down the theatrical distribution arm without destroying billions in value. Films like Dune or Barbie made their cultural impact because they were theatrical events. It seems Netflix has finally admitted that the box office creates cultural urgency that streaming cannot replicate. We will likely see a hybrid model where Warner Brothers branded films still get massive global theatrical runs to generate billions in ticket sales before arriving exclusively on Netflix. This might actually save the theater industry, as Netflix now has a financial incentive to keep cinemas alive so they can monetize their massive new blockbusters before they hit the app. People often forget that Warner Brothers is a top-tier video game publisher that owns the studios behind Mortal Kombat, the Batman Arkham series, and the massive hit Hogwarts Legacy. Netflix has been slowly building its gaming division with mobile titles, but this acquisition instantly makes them a major player in the console and PC space. Netflix Games has been a nice perk without being a system seller, but adding Warner Brothers games changes that overnight. Imagine a world where your Netflix subscription includes access to the next Mortal Kombat or a new open-world DC game. This aligns with Reed Hastings' old quote that the biggest competitor to Netflix isn't HBO, but Fortnite. By owning these studios, Netflix can develop games alongside their shows from day one. We could see a Squid Game AAA console game developed by the same people who made Shadow of War. It completely changes the value proposition of the subscription by moving Netflix from a video app to an all-encompassing entertainment service. Everyone is asking how much this will cost. When you combine the two most expensive streaming services into one, the price isn't going to stay flat. Analysts predict we could see a new ultimate tier introduced by 2027 that potentially pushes past the $30 a month mark. However, for consumers who currently pay for both Netflix and Max separately, a combined bundled price of $30 would technically be a discount. The real implication is the death of the churn strategy, where people subscribe to HBO for a month to watch The Last of Us, and then canceled. With the sheer volume of content Netflix will now have, releasing a major show or movie literally every single week, they are betting you will never find a reason to cancel. The goal is to make a Netflix subscription as necessary as an electricity bill. This merger signals the end of the fragmentation era. For the last 5 years, every studio tried to build its own walled garden and forced us to juggle 6 different apps, but that model failed. The consolidation we see today is the industry admitting that not everyone can be a winner. We're moving toward a future with only 2 or 3 mega platforms, where Disney and Netflix will be the titans, while others like Paramount and Peacock will likely be forced to merge or sell to survive. This creates a duopoly that is great for convenience, but dangerous for competition. Regulators in Washington and Europe will scrutinize this deal heavily. The Federal Trade Commission will likely argue that combining the biggest streamer with the biggest prestige studio gives Netflix too much power over labor markets, leaving writers, actors, and directors with fewer places to sell their projects. If Netflix passes on your script, you have nowhere else to go. But for the viewer, the immediate future looks incredible because the walls between franchises are coming down. The crossover potential is limitless, and the convenience of having the Wizarding World, Westeros, and Gotham City in one app is undeniable. We are witnessing the birth of the first true global entertainment utility. The ink is dry, but the real drama is just beginning, as regulators prepare for a fight that could last well into 2026. If you are excited about Batman joining Stranger Things, like and subscribe for more updates.